Hello, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all doing today? I hope we are pumped up and ready to take on the New York session today. So, if we are on the same page here, that is, you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, kindly type in hi in the comment section so that we can get the session started. So, I want to see some response, please. So, if you can see my screen, and you can hear my voice clearly, kindly type in hi so we can get this session started. So I will be okay. I just got a confirmation now that this audio quality is not good, so I will try to look at my monitoring device here. Okay, so let's see what's happening here. How about now? I guess it's better. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me now? Is it good? So is it good now? Oh my goodness, I hope hello, hello. How about now? Okay, Innocent Babe says it's good. Give me a moment, please. Let me do some that here. I think it's better now. I think it's good now, right? Okay. I hope it's better now, everyone. All right, so I think at this point I will. So let's see how it goes in the as time goes by. So I want to welcome you all to another promising session on the XAUUSD, and I will be taking you through on a trading journey where we shall be evaluating the financial markets using technical parameters to identify trading opportunities lining up for us today. Well, as usual, we are going to be reviewing all the pairs we have been monitoring since Monday, that is yesterday. So we had some couple of pairs running. We deliberated on those pairs yesterday and we were looking at a particular perspective. And I'm very excited to let you know today that most of the pairs we took yesterday was very profitable as price moved expectedly in the direction we have actually projected after breaking out of the structure we identified yesterday. I think only US oil were taken out of our position on the US oil, but we are still very good on all the pairs we monitored yesterday. Before we go into the details today, let's quickly look at the economic calendar if there is any major event that we should be anticipating today based on the pairs we have been monitoring. And if we look at the economic calendar right now, the only pair that is relevant to the only event that is relevant to the pair we are monitoring is AUDUSD, and we can see we had an interest rate decision happen earlier on today, and as expected, we had a 3.1% interest rate against the previous one of 2.85. So we have an increase in interest rate. And are we going to be seeing a decline, a deficit in the Aussie for this week? Well, we are going to be listening to price action to give us that answer. Then we also had the USD ISM Services PMI yesterday, and the result came out very positive for the dollar, and we could see the reflection of that on the chart. So besides the Aussie dollar, that's the only pair we have for today. So let's dive into the chart and let's see what's going on in the market right now. Well, the first pair we are going to be looking at, in fact, is a commodity that we are going to be looking at today, is the US oil. And what was our expectations here on the US oil yesterday? So if we look at the current structure that we have here, yesterday we were around this level, I think around the $81 area. Yes, okay, we took advantage of a buy opportunity right above the $81 level here, and price moved into the $82.50 level before we started seeing selling pressure coming in from that point. And one thing I stated here yesterday is that for those who had missed out on this opportunity here, I told you to remain patient and let's wait for the market to present to us another opportunity to join that potential rally. And we were around here yesterday, around the $82 mark. I told you that we should be patient for price to either break out of the $82.50 level, followed by buying pressure on the lower time frame to join the rally to the upside. But unfortunately, that did not happen. And the other possibility I was saying is if price comes back above the $81 level, buy pressure on our lower time frame there, is also going to be an opportunity to join the rally, and also that didn't happen. So yesterday I was stopped out with about 90 pips profit. Let's see, I think I was stopped out around here after we moved our stop loss to around the $82 level, and we were stopped out, though it was a small profit. And since then, price has been trending, finding lower lows at this point. And if you remember vividly what I said yesterday, that if price breaks down the $79.50 level in such a way that we have a breakdown of that $79.50 level, as you can see here, it also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line that has been holding buying pressure since the later part of last month. So we had a breakdown here, but immediately price climbed up. We connected the series here, and I said this is also a very critical point. If price breaks down that structure, we want to be selling the US oil at that point. And this is exactly what happened here. Price broke down the $79.50 level. For those who took advantage of this opportunity here, kudos to you for being on standby to catch that move as price moved significantly well to the downside. Well, for me, I missed this opportunity. I think I was on the road at this point in time when this happened, and when I came back, price has moved significantly well. Well, for those who took that advantage, kudos to you guys for being on standby to take advantage of that move. So what I'll be advising those who are in the sell position right now is to move your stop loss accordingly to somewhere around the $77.75 here within this channel around this area. Now, as we get into the New York session today, what is going to be our plans? Well, I shared these where I I was able to identify a channel here right within the $77.75 and the $77.20 area. So since price tested the $77.20 level, what did we notice here? We started seeing a consolidation phase between that level. We had the resistance point here. Then we had the support level around the level here at the $77.20, giving us a clue that there is an indecision in that market. And if we are going to be looking at this from a technical standpoint, what we see here is more or less a trend continuation pattern. That is, following this impulsive move to the downside, price was caught within this rectangle. So for me, this is a bearish rectangular pattern, and a breakdown of that structure, retest of that structure is a very good opportunity to join the decline to the downside. And exactly what happened. I was triggered right below the $77.20, and currently I am running with over 80 pips in profit right now. For those who also took advantage of that opportunity, kudos to you guys. So for those who took this, for me, I moved my stop loss to break even here to see if price will continue to go to the downside, or if that's going to turn out to be a false breakdown. And if it turns out to be a false breakdown and price takes me out of my position, leading into a breakout of the $77.75, we might be looking forward to a buy opportunity, which is going to be a counter trend. As we can see here, price broke down the structure here at the $79.50 level, which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line, which I showed you earlier. From a technical standpoint, at a point in time, price is likely going to come back and do a retest of that structure. So what I'm simply saying here is, if price takes me out of the sell position, hereby turning this breakdown into a false one, then a breakout of the $77.75 level will be giving me an opportunity to join a counter trend opportunity with the take profit target sitting somewhere around the $80 area. So this is the first scenario if price goes against us. But for those for the selling momentum here, as price has continued to trend to the downside, well, move your stop loss accordingly, lock in some profit. And for those who had missed out from this opportunity at the breakdown of the $77.20, let's see if the market is going to be presenting us with a second chance to join that decline. And when we are going to be looking for, well, it could come in a retest of the $77.20 level, followed by selling pressure below that level on our lower time frame. Then we could actually join that decline to the downside. So these are one of the few patterns we are going to be patient enough to wait for if we had missed out on the opportunity right below the $79.50 level. So let's see, for those who took advantage of the sell momentum right here, currently you will be running with over 320 pips in profit right now. So like I said, move your stop loss to somewhere right above the $77.75, which should be approximately 200 pips thereabout for you to hold on to and give room for price action to breed. And let's see how price action will go from this point. So as we get prepared for the New York session, let's see from an holistic standpoint if sell momentum will continue from here, and it's going to continue. Let's look out for structures where our take profit targets will be at this point in time. So in order to have a better perspective in what is going on here, we want to scale up to the daily time frame. Let's have a really it shouldn't get caught off bearish momentum win. So now we are back on the daily time, and like I stated here yesterday, the first thing we observed on the daily time frame is simply the fact that price has been caught within a consolidation phase, hereby emphasizing the decision in this market. So we saw the support level here has been holding since the month of September. That's like 2 or 3 months right now. And then we have the resistance level around the $93.50 level. So price has been caught within the channel here to further emphasize the indecision in this market. Now, if you remember yesterday, what I said yesterday about the $82.50 level, which I was able to identify here, I said if we look at the structure closely, we can see that there has been selling pressure around that area. In fact, since I think the third week of the month of November, we have been seeing selling pressure as soon as price gets to that structure. And if price gets into that structure, we started seeing pressure from that area. And I told you that we are not going to ignore the possibility that we're seeing selling pressure from that area, despite the fact that we're in a buy position today. So now, with the situation of things right now, we have seen that price has continued to the downside. In fact, the candle, yesterday's candle closed in form of a star, which has that tendency of selling pressure at that particular point in time. So we are within the demand zone here, so we need to be very careful as well. We want to see if the selling pressure will continue, or we are going to be seeing buying momentum coming at a point in time. So in that regard, I have told you to stop loss accordingly, lock in some profit so that we don't get stopped out in a bullish momentum comes in at this area. Now, from a fundamental perspective here, I think the OPEC Plus meeting held, I think, on 8 hours of yesterday, and the decision never changed. So they're still holding on to cutting oil production by 2 million barrels per day. And because of this, we don't know how this is going to affect price in the market. Well, from a fundamental perspective, whenever there is uh, a, a reduction in product, definitely demand should be high. That means there should be scarcity, then demand highs, and when demand is high, price will continue to soar to the upside. But in this case, we are not seeing that happening at a point in time, and this might probably be because of the indecision in the Euro Union for the Russian oil price cap, which is not yet decided at this particular point in time. So we don't know if how this is going to affect the market. But one thing I want to be confident of is that price action will definitely tell us what is really going on in the market. So right now we want to scale down to the 1 hour time frame. Let's see what is really going on around here. Then we shall be using the structure we have there on the 1 hour time frame, cipher when our next line of action is going to be and where our take profit target will be. Now, another thing I want to share with you here on daily time frame is bearish trend line, which was holding selling pressure since the month of June, and I was able to connect this bearish trend, the series of lower highs here, to give us that resultant bearish trend line. And as you can see here, we saw the breakout of the trend line here. Price came back to do a retest of this trend line at this point in time in the month of the opinion that if we should extend this trend line further to the future, we might be having a situation from a technical standpoint that price might likely come back to do a retest of structure. So will our take profit target be around this? Well, it's too far this particular point in time, but let's scale down to the time frame and let's see what is really going on there. So going back to the 1 hour time frame here, as we can see, price has continued to move in our direction, and currently, since the breakdown of the channel at below the $77.20 level, price has moved over 100 pips in profit right now. I hope you stop loss accordingly, lock in some profit at this point. Then the second scenario is what we want to be looking out for, where our take profit target is going to be. Now, if we look at the current structure we have here, that is, we have noticed that price action has been on a bearish momentum since the beginning of the month of November. And as a result of that, we had this bearish trend line figured out after connecting the series of lower highs here. As you can see, remember, we took advantage of the selling opportunity as we continue to ride on that trend to the downside the last 3 weeks on the USOil. Not until last week trading session when we finally saw the breakout of that trend line, which gave us a sign that the trend line is no longer strong enough to hold selling pressure point in time. And price moved significantly well since the breakdown of that structure, right back into the $82 level here to $82.50 level, a level which has been holding selling niche in the last 2 weeks here. So we saw price come back to retest that structure. We saw a retest yesterday, which took us out of the buy position. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have breakout of a structure like this, we expect that one particular point in time, price is likely going to come back and do a retest of that structure. So we had the breakout of the structure here last week, and I'm hoping that price might likely come back to do a retest of structure around the $75 level. That is the bearish trend line there. So, and if we look at how important that area is for in terms of the current structure here. So look at what happened here in the month of, on the 21st of November, we saw buy pressure here, and we saw buy pressure around this level also. And then that area also shares a confluence with those bearish trend lines. There is a tendency that price might come back into the structure, but most importantly, we want to see how price action is going to relate to this level side, if to the downside, or we are going to be joining another wave of bullish momentum. So there are two scenarios that could happen if price come back into the structure. First one is that same buying pressure around this. Definitely I want to be joining the rally at a breakout retest of structure on our lower time frame to join the trend continuation back into the structure that was broken yesterday. And if you look at the structure here, it shares a confluence. So we had the $79.50 level broken here, which also shares a confluence with this bullish trend line here. Then if a retest of structure is going to be happening, then we are going to be looking at that area to see how price will relate to that level. So that is one scenario to look out for if price does multiple rejection of that trend line. However, if a situation like a breakdown of that structure happens, a retest of that level followed by selling pressure on our lower time frame, then we might want to be looking forward to joining a further decline to the downside. So these are the scenarios we shall be looking forward to on the US oil for this week. And for those who missed out on this opportunity, I will advise that we remain patient at this point, and let's see if the market is going to give a second chance in the form of a retest of the structure that was broken this morning before another move to the downside happens. So that is one scenario I will be looking forward to if you are out on that meeting. So let's quickly look at what is happening on the lower time. Actually join. Well, on the lower time frame here, I really don't have a structure here for those who had missed out. Okay, I think we have something around this area here at the $76.800. So we can see we had demand zones here before the breakdown of that structure happened here around the $76.80 level. So for the sake of simplicity, let's identify that area and hope that price comes back into that structure. And if it does, and we start seeing selling pressure right below that level here on our lower time frame, then we want to be thinking of joining or adding more position to our existing trade here. So these are the scenarios we should be looking forward to on the US oil today and for this week. So if you have any question regarding what I've just explained so far, feel free to drop in your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to read through the charts and see if there are any questions before I move on to the next pair. So we have 136 here. Good morning. Diogo Costa, good morning to you. 923, good morning. Harms, good morning. RTN Hell 007, okay. 95, all right. I have a lot of people in the house here. Good morning, everyone. I hope I had made Innocent Babe gold. Of course, we are going to be treating gold, don't worry. I think we treated gold early yesterday, so we should be taking it in that chronological order as it was treated yesterday, okay? So please stay tuned in. All right, so in the absence of no questions, and then let's move on to the next pair. So the next option we are going to be looking at right now is the US Tech. And what do we have on the US Tech? Well, as at yesterday, we had quite an interesting scenario here on the US Tech. We remember, let's quickly run through what our expectations were during the live session yesterday. So where were we during the live session yesterday? So during the live session yesterday, we were right around the 11,009 level. And at the beginning of the week, we were able to identify a very simple structure here where price was caught within a consolidation phase right within the $12,000 level. and the $11,960 area here. And what this simply tells us is that there was a little indecision at the beginning of the week where participants were trying to test waters to see if price is likely going to go to the upside, or we're going to be having a situation where price will continue to the downside. And one thing I stated here yesterday is that we want to remain patient here to look out for signals that will be guiding us on where price action will be going for this week. And to make our job easier here, yesterday I told you that we have a channel between the $12,000 level, 11,960, and what we want to be looking out for is either a breakout of that structure to give us an opportunity to buy, or a breakdown retest of the structure to give us an opportunity to sell. And this is exactly what happened here yesterday. So we saw a breakdown retest on our lower time frame, and price continue to the downside from that level to give us about how many pips in profit. About let's see, price moved over 230 pips in our direction as at the day. And remember, we have our TP targets within the $11,770 level and the $11,600. Yeah, so for those who took advantage of the opportunity, okay, kudos to you. um uh, it's either you are still in the trade or you've already taken your profits, because we had a wide zone for TP, which is here and here. So for those who place their TP target around 11,760, you would already be out of this trade with some profit. And for those who are still in this trade right now, well, I will be advising you to move your stop loss accordingly. Let's lock in some profit at this particular point in time as we begin to see buy pressure coming in from this area. Now, if we look at what has happened here in the last 24 hours, we can see that as soon as price came into the $11,760 level, we started seeing buying pressure. Not even only a buy pressure, we even saw a higher low here as price tested the $11,760 level during the early hours of today. And if we look at that structure, the same thing happened here on Friday. We saw a sharp rejection of that level. So we are not going to ignore the possibility that buy pressure could come in from this area. So now that we are heading into the New York session today, what is going to be our plan? Like I said, move your stop loss accordingly. And I think somewhere right above the $11,840 level is most appropriate here. As we can see, we also have selling pressure around this area. So we want to see our take stop loss somewhere around there, which will be dovetailing to about 130 pips thereabouts. So this should price takes us out of our position. So now that we are heading into the New York session today, what is going to be our plan? Should we continue to look out for selling opportunities here, or do we get ready to join a possible bullish momentum from this point? So in order to have a better perspective, yeah, first of all, I would like to scale up to the daily time frame. Let's have an holistic view of what is happening. Let's see if the structures on the daily time frame still supports a trend continuation downside, or we might be looking forward to buying from that area. And for the sake of those who are not part of the live session yesterday, this is an opportunity for you to be on the same page with every one of us here. Live room. So right back to the daily time frame. And let's quickly what is really going on from an holistic perspective. Now, on the daily time frame, it's very obvious that price action has been on a long-term bearish momentum, as you can see here. And as a result of that, I was able to connect the series of lower highs here to give us that resultant bearish trend line that you can see on your screen as the black line. Now, something interesting happened here in the month of June or July, as we started seeing how the $11,000 level was negating all selling pressure at this particular point in time. And this led to a bullish momentum here. The same thing happened here in the month of October. And as a result of that, we were able to identify that area, the possible demand zone that could take price to the upside. So the bullish momentum that came up here in the month of October wasn't strong enough, as we saw how sellers continue to negate all selling pressure at around the $11,700 level. So in fact, we had that $11,700 level as our yardstick for trading a couple of months. As we can see, every attempt by the buyers to break out of that structure has been met with stiff resistance from the sellers. In fact, the selling momentum was so strong that it shifted the demand zone further into the $10,500 level. So, at the beginning of the month of November, we saw bullish pressure, which finally took price to break out of $11,700 level. But in fact, we really didn't have a major breakout of that structure. As we can see here, as soon as price broke out of $11,700 level, we started seeing a consolidation phase between the 11,000. On a second, let's see this clearly, between the 11,900 and the $11,500 area. So we had a consolidation phase, hereby emphasizing the indecision in this market. So as soon as price gets into the 11,900, we started seeing selling pressure from that level. However, during the course of last week trading session, we saw this engulfing candle which broke out of the 11,900, but it appears that this bullish momentum buyers are finding it very, very difficult to gather more momentum, as we saw another pressure which pushed price back below the $11,900 level. And since then, price has been trading below the 11,900 to further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. And if you look at the structure here, since the breakout of 11,900, we can see it's close to the bearish trend line here, and price is unable to come back and test this bearish trend line before we started seeing another selling pressure coming in at this point. So for me at this point in time, I'm still going to be looking forward to selling pressure here if we have a further breakdown 11,800. So on the 1 hour time frame, I want us to be identified in $11,800 level here. The level here, I want to see a breakdown retest of that structure on our lower time frame to continue the sell momentum. And if the sell momentum continues such a way that price breaks down the $11,700 level one more time, then a selling pressure below that structure should further give us a confirmation that sellers are still very strong in time. Remember, the 11,700 has been a very strong selling niche for participants in this market in the past. So there is a likelihood if a breakdown of that structure happens again, we might be seeing selling pressure come in at level. So we want to be scaling back down to the 1 hour time frame. So we are going to be identifying the $11,800 level here, where we have been witnessing buying pressure in the last 3 days to see if the buy pressure is going to hold or we are going to be seeing a breakdown of structure. So right back to the 1 hour time frame here. So like I said, on the daily time frame, we want to be identifying the structure around the 11,800. So let's bring out our line chart so that we can have a specific point of connection. So we have the 11,800 around here. But one thing I will say is let's use here the 11,820, and the reason is simply, I will show you in a moment. Let me quickly draw this out first. And the reason why I will be using the 11,820 is because of the resistance point that we have been witnessing here the last 24 hours. So we have the 11,820 here. So let's label this 120. Let's give this a black color and place it right at the top right hand side of our screen. So we have the $11,820 level. So as we head into the New York session today, we already have a structure that is going to be guiding trading activity. Now, in addition to the $11,820 level here, we are going to be looking to connect the series of higher lows here. So we can see beginning to see higher lows here. So we want to connect that level. So we bring out our trend line, connect the series of higher lows here. And so what we simply have here, temporary bullish trend line. I will be calling it a temporary one at this point in time because we are yet to see a breakout of the 11,820. So now we have a bullish trend line here. So going into the New York session, we have two parameters. We have two structures to look out for trading opportunities. We have the 11,820 and we have the bullish trend line here. So how are we going to make use of the structures? Now, the first thing we are going to be doing here is to buy the US tech. We want to see price break out of the $11,820 level, taking out all the sell position here to give us a signal that this is likely going to be a counter trend opportunity to take advantage of. If we are lucky enough, we start seeing buying pressure above the 11,820, we want to be joining the rally to the upside. we are going to upside, well, I will be looking at somewhere between the 11,950, the $12,000 area as my take profit target. And the reason is simply because of this is where price started this week. So there is a likely price might come back into the structure there, or another wave of bearish momentum comes in from that level. So that's a counter trend opportunity. And remember, whenever we are taking counter trend opportunities, we want to guide our position judiciously by moving our stop loss accordingly as price action moves in our favor. So that is one scenario we are looking forward to, which is a buy opportunity if price breaks above the $11,820 level. However, if this is not the case and instead price drops and breaks down this bullish trend line significantly where we have an engulfing candle breaking out of that structure, that is a signal that we might be going to the downside. And if possible, a selling pressures right below that bearish trend line happens, then we want to be comfortable in our sell position. And at this point in time, we might extend our TP target to the maximum point of the TP target zone that we had here. That is around the $11,600 level. And please, I want to state clearly here that we want to be moving our stop loss, lock in some profit. If price breaks down the structure, you move your stop loss to somewhere above the 11,820. And if price comes into the $11,700 level here, where okay, this is the $11,700. Remember this very important key level we identified on the daily time frame. Remember, so if price comes within this level, so we want to move our stop loss accordingly. And if a breakdown of the $11,700 level happens, that is an opportunity to add more position after citing selling pressure below the $11,700 level. So these are my scenarios here on the US Tech. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section while we move on to the next pair. Okay, all right, I see 260. Good morning. 260. All right. 543. Good morning. Slay Strong. Good morning. Good morning. 543. All right. Hey, hi Max. I see you. Good morning to you. Glad to have you around. All right. So let's quickly move on to the next commodity, and that is the XAUUSD. I hope innocent babies in the house. So we are going to be treating the XAUUSD next. And on the XAUUSD, we had a very, very profitable scenario here on the XAUUSD day, as we can see how price started the week. So we had this situation running here where I was able to share this on my platform, where we saw a consolidation phase between 1,810 and the 1,808 on our lower time frame. Let me quickly run through that so that we can have a better perspective into what I'm talking about here. I think it was on the 5 minutes time frame. We saw that channel and it was around here. So we saw this consolidation phase around the 1,810 and the 1,808. Yeah, and we were waiting for either a breakout or a breakdown of structure to give of where price will be going to. And fortunately for us, we were advantage of the momentum, and that first position gave us over 1,300 pips in profit. Now, during the New York session, remember during our live session yesterday, I made mention of another possibility here. So this is where we were during the live session yesterday. We were around the 1,795 level. I told you that my previous position has been locked in with a profit. And one thing I stated here is that for those who miss out on this opportunity, we should be having two chances to join that decline. And the first one is price comes back to do a retest of the $1,800 level, then selling pressure below that structure should give us join that decline. Though some people actually join around there. And the other scenario I stated here is if price breaks down the 1,795 level, then we want to be joining that decline to the downside. Though price did not come back into the 1,800, but instead we saw price break down the 1,795 level to give us that signal to join that momentum to the downside. And this has moved so significantly well that I was able to close that position yesterday with over 1,800 pips on this word. So for those who took advantage of this opportunity yesterday, well done. It's good being on standby to take advantage of that move. So now that we have the situation running, what is going to be our plans for today? Now let's look at what is happening on the 1 hour time frame. And if we look at the structure here on the 1 hour time frame, we had another breakdown of the 1,778.50 level, which also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line. I personally missed this one, and if you take advantage of that move, well, very well done to you guys for taking advantage of that move. I missed this move yesterday. I told you I was on the road when this actually happened. So if you are taking that also, that gave us about 1,200 pips thereabout. So well done for those who took advantage of that move. Now that we have the situation running here, what is going to be our plans for today? Well, we look at the current structure we have here. We can see that as soon as price tested the 1,760 level here, we started seeing a consolidation phase. We saw buy pressure here. In fact, we saw a higher low here, which has a tendency to push price to the upside. And at this point in time, price goes to the upside, I want to be seeing this as a retracement of that impulsive move that started this week. So we had this impulse leg that started this week. We had a crash to the 1,765 level. And if we start seeing higher lows here, then this might likely be a counter trend opportunity that might take price back into either the bullish trend line. Here, remember, we had a structure at the bullish trend line that was broken yesterday. So there is a likelihood that we might start seeing pressure from this area to join that decline downside. And if that does not happen and price breaks out of that structure, then we might continue to guide that bullish momentum into the 1,795 level. Another structure here where we took advantage of the second position here. And if selling pressure comes below that level, we'll joining that decline to the downside. And if price continue to climb to the upside, we want to be looking out for selling pressure at a retest of either of the structures that we already have existing on the chart. So we have a couple of structures here. We have one at the 1,795, we have one at the 1,800, and we have one at 1,805 level, which has been a strong selling name in the past. So we might likely be looking forward to price coming back into that structure to give us an opportunity to join another decline to the downside. So that is one scenario we are going to be looking forward to. That is if price continues upside here. Then the other scenario that I want to be looking forward to is this. Now look at the structure we have here. I was able to connect the series of higher lows here to give temporary bullish trend line, just like what we had on tech here. So we shall be using this yardstick. Then another thing I want to share with you here is the structure around the 1,000. Let's 1,775. I think. Let me rebuild this so that can have a better understanding of here, and I will be sharing with you why that is. So this is what we have here. So we have another structure here at the 1,775, and how are we going to utilize the structure during the New York session today? Well, following this impulsive move downside, and we have started witnessing a consolidation phase here, characterized by buying pressure. There is a likelihood that the consolidation phase here might evolve into a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. So we have the first touch here. Price came back to this level at the 1,767, unable to break the previous low, and we have been seeing buyers trying to knock the roof of the 1,775 off to give us signal that we might be having a reversal pattern. So if this roof gets knocked off and price breaks out of the 1,775, then we might be seeing this as an opportunity to join a counter trend opportunity if we start seeing citing buying pressure right above the 1,775 a lower time frame. And if we see that we want to join that rally to the upside, then we continue to move our stop loss accordingly, lock in our profit at break even, and let's see how far this bullish momentum will go. Is it going to go to test this bullish trend line that was broken yesterday, or is it going to test the 1,795, the 1,800, 1,805? We never can tell. So we continue to extend our TP accordingly if price continue to move that direction. And as price continue to move in our direction, we're going to be looking at those structures and see how price will react our structures. If we selling pressure, then we want to be getting ready to join the second wave of the bear that started this week. So that's the first scenario that we have here if this evolves into a reversal pattern. Then the other scenario that we shall be looking forward to here, as we can see here, we have been seeing sellers knock out or buying attempts to push to break out of the 1775, though price has been respecting the bullish trend line here. So let's see if this bullish trend line is going to hold that buying pressure leading to the breakout of the 1775, and if not strong enough to break out of the 1775, then we might likely see a breakdown of the bullish trend line. And if a breakdown of the bullish trend line happens, followed by sudden pressure right below the bullish trend line, we're looking for joining another decline to the downside. So this is what we are going to be looking forward to XAUUSD for today. Where will our take profit target be for the selling momentum? Well, let's quickly run through the daily time frame. Let's what is really going on there, and let's use that as our take profit target zone. So now that we are back on the daily time frame here, and remember what I told you here on the daily time frame week, we were at a very critical structure at the $1,800 level. And if you look at how important that level has been since the beginning of the year, you can see that it has been a major determinant of price action. Look at what happened here in the month. I think between the month of November and the month of February of the beginning of this year, we saw how that level was holding by pressure. The same thing happened here in the month of May, before we finally saw the breakdown of that structure in the month of July. And since price broke down that structure in the month of July, we have been seeing selling pressure below that level. In fact, price has been trading below that structure, further emphasize the strength of the sellers at this point. And even though price continued a bullish momentum during the early days of the month of November, price came back into the $1,800 level here. And one thing we saw here was that it's seen another selling pressure, which is familiar or similar to what has been happening earlier on in the year. So we have been seeing selling pressure from that area. So is this selling pressure going to hold to price further to the downside? This is what we don't know yet. But at this particular point in time, let's see, is price going to go as far as the 1,740, a level which was broken during the first week of the month of November with multiple buying pressure around that area. Price going to go that far? We are not sure yet, but we are looking at this from a long-term perspective. Have your take profit target around the 1,740 level, and if price continue to break down structures on our lower time frame to the downside, you move your stop loss accordingly, lock in some profits, and let's see how price action out in that regard. And if we take into consideration this impulse leg that started at the beginning of the month of November to $1,800 level, we know that technical standpoint that whenever we have this impulse leg like this, there is a tendency that a retracement phase could come in, which will be a reflection of profit-taking activities. That is, those who took advantage of this buy opportunity at one point in time, they want to sell off to make some money off the market. And if that's going to be happening, we will see it on the chart as a retracement phase. And if this retracement phase happen, where will the retracement phase end? Well, the only way we can look at this from a technical standpoint is using our Fibonacci retracement tool, running it through the previous impulse leg here, and identifying somewhere within our golden zone area that is between the 50% and the 78.6% of our previous impulse leg. Long-term perspective around here. TP target for sellers should be around here on a long-term perspective. This aim area will be serving as a buy zone for buyers from the long-term perspective. So we have something like this. Let me give this a yellow color to make things a little bit clearer. So we have something like this. So I will delete this right now. I need it. So we have a zone right around the 1,680. If you remember vividly how important that 1,680 level has been for us in the last 2 months, you remember we have been using it to sell the XAUUSD at one point in time. So there is a tendency that price might likely break down the 1,740. Retest of structure brings price right back into the 1,680, a level which was broken during the first week of the month of November. And from a technical standpoint, whenever we have a breakout of structure, there is a likelihood that price might come back to a retest of structure in anticipation of another wave of bullish momentum. So these are the scenarios we shall be looking forward to at this point. So for today, for the sake of the session, I will be advising us to move our take profit target to the 1,740, and let's monitor price action. If price continues to move in our favor, our stop loss accordingly to lock in some profit. So that is my view here on the XAUUSD. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your inquiries in the comment section, and let's see how I can be of help in that regard. So that is that on the XAUUSD. All right, I can see Innocent Babe is still in the room. Mario Luz, good morning to you. RK Mitra, what's your complaint? Okay, let me know if something I can help. All right, so we're moving on to the next pair. The next pair we are going to be looking at today is the JPY. And on the USDJPY, we have been very profitable for this week so far. Remember, we had a position running at the beginning of the session, the UK session. So we had a price buy right above this level. And during the course of the live session yesterday, we were around here, I think around the 135.500 level. And one thing one structure I was able to show you here on USDJPY, reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And if we look at this closely, we had this impulsive move downside. We had the first touch at the 133.640. Price came to 135.500, which is going to be serving as the neckline of that reversal pattern. So we saw the second touch at the 134.150. That was the lowest point price was able to get to this week before we finally saw the breakout of that structure at the 134.790, which gave us a clue that a bullish momentum is coming in here. And I said something here yesterday. You are not comfortable with that bullish momentum at this point. Well, you might want to be waiting for a breakout of the neckline, join the rally upside. And this is exactly what happened yesterday. We saw price break out of the neckline area on our lower time frame. We were able to join the rally to the upside. And if you are joined, well done, as currently you will be running with over 100 pips in profit at this point. So the next thing I'll be advising us to do here is to lock in our profit here, move stop loss accordingly. And from the current structure we have here, most appropriate area to lock some profit should be falling around 136.250, somewhere around this below the structure here, so that we can give room for price action to breed. So now that we have this situation locked in, what is going to be our plans for today? Well, and for those who actually missed out on the opportunity, let's see if the market is going to be presented another chance to join the rally to the upside. Now, if we look at this situation here, appears price is caught within a channel here. So we saw the low here, saw the higher high, saw the higher low, and then we saw a breakout of that resistant level of that channel. And since then, price has been trading above that resistant level of the channel. You can see price has been trading above that level. In fact, we have been witnessing buying pressure right above that bullish trend line. As a result of this, when I cited this, I looked at and I said, okay, fine, let's have a structure figured out here. And it will also help us make our trading easy for the New York session today. So we have something right around the 136,500 level, which also shows confluence with the resistant level of that ascending channel. So one thing I'll be advising us to do here is buy above that level. So if price continues to stay above the 136,500 level, want to be our buy position. I think it's a risk worth taking at the point. So if buy above this, how far this price is going to takes us out of this position, it's okay. We already have a profitable position running here. So if even price takes us out of this here, so we should have a stop loss somewhere above below the 100 price action read here. So for those who have missed out on this, let's look out for buying opportunity above this structure, right above the resistant level of the channel, or in the rally to the upside. However, if price breaks down that channel, mean that we have lost the bullish momentum. That is, if price breaks down the 136.500 level, where a retest of structure brings price further to the downside, well, I wouldn't say we have missed out on the buy position. The reason is simply because of this. Now, if we look at the structure here, remember we had this neckline figured out the 135.500, which was broken during the New York session yesterday. So we saw the break structure here, and from a technical standpoint, we expect that price might likely come back, retest of the neckline area in anticipation of a trend continuation to the upside. So if a breakdown of the 136.500 happens, buyers should not panic at this point, because there is a tendency, is the likelihood that we could be having another buy window around the neckline area here at the 135.500. And if you look closely into that structure, you can see how that 135.500 level also shares a confluence with that bullish trend line that has been holding bullish momentum a part of last week trading session. So there is a likelihood that price might come back into that structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. However, for counter trend traders and scalpers, a breakdown of the 136.500 level followed by retest of structure, setting pressure below the 136.500 like a counter trend opportunity advantage of, with a take profit target around the 135.500, which will dovetail into about 100 pips thereabout to catch. But if you are not that kind of trader, you're not a scalper, counter trend trader, well, I would advise you to be patient and wait out for either buying above the 136.500 level or waiting for price should price break down the 136.500. Wait for price action to come back into this 135.500, or look out for buying pressure around any part of the area to join the rally to the upside. So that is my scenario here on the USDJPY, and let's see how price action the next couple of hours. I'm almost on time right now. Let me run through the AUDUSD. And on the AUDUSD, we had a very, very profitable trade here on the. Remember yesterday we were around the support level at the 0.67800 level. So we were around here. We were right above that structure rather. We were right above that structure. One thing we were able to identify at the peak was that price has been caught within a consolidation phase right within 68500 of that consolidation phase level of that channel at 0.678. And we have such situation. One thing we want to be looking out for is a signal in the form that a breakout of the channel or a breakdown of the channel to join the decline to the downside. And this is exactly what happened during the New York session yesterday. We saw the breakdown of the channel, and since then price has been trending to the downside in such a way that we are in profit of about 70 pips. Took advantage opportunity. Now that we have the situation running right now, move your stop loss accordingly, lock in some profits. We're above the 0.67500 should be most appropriate to lock in some profit here, and let's see how price action play out. Now, in addition to the structure, we're heading into the New York. How do we intend to take this out on that selling opportunity? Should the market give us a second chance? We obviously want to join that decline to the downside. So if we look at the current structure we have here, you can see since the beginning of the month of November, we have a bullish momentum running, and we had this bullish trend line to emphasize the strength of the buyers at this point, as you can see here. And finally, we had the breakdown of that bullish trend line to further emphasize I'll be going through a retracement phase at this particular point in time. And if we are going through a retracement phase, where will our profit target be? We didn't run the Fibonacci retracement yesterday, but let me quickly do that at this particular point in time. So we have some 78.6% of as an area we are take have this also done just in case we start seeing area we want. So our TP target should be have a minimum around the 0.65620 and the 0.6400 level, which will be giving us a maximum of 380 pips to catch here. So let's see how price action plays out. Let me just put it here, how price action. Yeah, so for those who would like to trade this in the New York session today, well, let's quickly have a structure as our yardstick. Breaking out our line chart here for the point. So we have somewhere around the 0.67400. Yeah. So we have the 0.67400. Let me give purple color. 400 level. I give this a purple color and place top right hand side over my purple. All right. So we have the 0.674 out at this point. And as you can see, since last week, we can see how important that structure has been for us. So we had it serve as a selling niche at one point in time. Last week, we saw selling niche, but we finally saw the breakout of that structure here. We saw the retest, saw the breakdown again. We have been seeing selling pressure around this area, so this might likely downside. So let me go back to the 1 hour time frame, and we almost have the structure we had with the US Tech and the XAUUSD. So let me bring down my line chart here, connect the eyes here like this. I have a temporary trend figured out at this point. So are the structures I'll be using by trading active. Okay. So there are two things that we could be at this point. So following this impulsive move to the downside, we could have a transition into a pattern in the form of double bottom structure. So we have the first touch here and price unable to break the previous low, and this might break out of the 0.67400, which shall be serving as the neckline of that reversal pattern. And if that happens, with buy pressure right above that structure, we might be for a counter trend back into the structure at the 0.6 of another wave momentum. So how far this is going to go, we don't know yet. But if it goes to the upside, well, if we are going to be using our technical tools, we use our Fibonacci retracement tool, then we should be having 78.6% alpha set. Yeah, so either retest of this bullish trend line here, retest of the 0.678 or the retest 0.68100 area to incite a bearish momentum. So we shall be looking for selling pressure around that, join that decline to the downside. But if price does not climb up to 0.67400 and instead we see price break down this bullish trend line, then a retest of structure followed by selling pressure on our lower time frame below the bullish trend line, opportunity to add more to our exit trade. Remember, we have our take profit target right within the 0.65600 and the 0.6 I had with you guys. It has been a wonderful moment. I hope to see you guys same time tomorrow, 10 a.m. UTC, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, as we come here again to analyze, review whatever we have talked about so far, and let's get ourselves prepared for the New York session tomorrow. So, on this note, I wish you a wonderful day. Do have a beautiful and wonderful evening. Bye bye.